안녕하세요. Riding on the Korean wave. Welcome to Friday's edition of the Culture Wave. I'm Kwon-Soo-Wah in Seoul. Explore with us Korea's culture and stay up to date with K-entertainment, K-people, and today I want to emphasize K-food. Today we're joined by Walter Lee, our Friday co-host. Happy Friday, Walter.
Happy Friday. So, hello everyone. I'm Walter Lee. I'm your K-Enter host as well as your co-host. And stick around for that because we've got some really up-to-date news coming up.
And we also have our Arirang news features reporter An Sung-jin. Welcome, Sung-jin.
Happy Friday, happy Kimchi Day.
Happy Kimchi Day. And on this very timely Kimchi Day, the special day, you have mouth-watering coverage for us today.
I've brought a very exciting news, also a very important element about Korean culture today, which is food. And more specifically, Korea today celebrates Kimchi Day, which is November 22nd here. And as a foodie, I went to check out everything about it, from the making process to its nutritional significance.
Kimchi, a traditional Korean side dish made from fermented vegetables, mostly napa cabbage or radish. It's a staple for Koreans and often seen as a representative food of the country. But now, more and more foreigners come to enjoy the unique Korean dish.
This Kimchi Academy in Seoul offers the opportunity to experience making the entire process of kimchi, from preparing the ingredients and mixing it into the final product.
When we travel, we like to do some cooking classes because cooking is just such a cool reflection of culture in a particular area. And it's hard to think of something that's more Korean than kimchi.
And learning how to make handmade kimchi was really a very eye-opening experience.
The instructor said she's very proud to see foreigners come enjoy the value of the traditional dish.
Before the pandemic, a lot of visitors from Asia came to make kimchi. But after COVID-19 and with the spread of Korean culture, more visitors from around the world have come and shown interest.
It's a dish on the table almost every day for Koreans, but what's the significance behind consuming it?
For a lot of people these days, it's difficult to consume food with vegetables in it. But one way to obtain minerals and vitamins is through kimchi. Because it is composed of so many ingredients, it contains probiotics, anti-cancer bacteria, and antioxidants.
Kimchi pleases palates and is full of nutrients, but the process of making kimchi is what makes it even more Korean.
Food has become a big part of understanding Korean culture. Kimchi is not just a dish, it is a dish that bonds people together and unites them and solidifies communities. And it's probably the most important dish for the Korean nation.
This vegetable-based dish is the essence in fostering Korean culture, not only for those Koreans living abroad, but also for those who are getting to know about Korea.
So, Sung-jin, I saw that you also saw people making kimchi themselves, and it seemed like they were making the napa cabbage kimchi, which is the most simple version, although I don't want to say simple because I'm not really good at making kimchi, but...
Right, perhaps maybe the most basic version instead of the most simple version. But as you said, the one in the footage was actually napa cabbage kimchi, which is probably the most basic one, as I just mentioned. But as the kimchi making instructor said during her class while I was attending, there were basically countless variations of kimchi that can be made. Some of the other types include cucumber kimchi or gat kimchi, or also known as mustard leaf kimchi, water kimchi, and just so many more. As ingredients are not limited, it's basically, you can make it with anything else pretty much. And recently, I don't know if you guys know, but there's this type of variation of grape called muscat, and they also made it out kimchi with that fruit as well.
Oh, I haven't tasted that yet, but we do see various kinds of versions of kimchi these days. Also, many like short videos where people show their own varieties of kimchi.
Yeah, well, I really do want to taste this muscat kimchi as well. It sounds delicious. But then how do we exactly make this kimchi? Because I know that now we are around the kimchi making season, or it's just a little bit earlier now. So how do we make it exactly?
Right, so kimchi's basically been made over centuries for the past couple hundred years here in Korea. And the reason they began to make kimchi is to not only store it and eat it during the winter, but they also used to make it so they can have it for a longer time. And this process is called kimjang. Normally, it will be stored in large earthenware fermentation vessels to prevent it from freezing during the winter months and to keep it cool enough to slow down the fermentation process. Now less so, but the whole village, or at least the whole household, used to participate as well.
All right. Now, Songjin, we touched upon this briefly before when we connected to a K correspondent in Canada when we talked about kimchi a little bit abroad. So we can proudly say that kimchi is one of the leading food items that are being shipped overseas, right?
Absolutely. Out of all the food that Korea can offer, kimchi is probably one of the most representative ones. Kimchi saw a record high figure for exports last year, which is more than 44,000 tons being shipped to around 90 countries around the world. In 2016, that figure was only 23,000 tons, so it's a big jump within less than 10 years. Experts say that the figure is expected to reach a record high again this year. But what's more surprising is the fact that Kimchi Day is actually celebrated in other places outside of Korea. Argentina, Kingston Borough in the UK, and some states in the US, including California, New York, Washington, D.C., also have their own Kimchi Day to promote the Korean traditional dish. So there are more efforts outside of Korea that are being done as well.
I think this is amazing that we're having a day of Korean food being celebrated abroad. And I think that is also because there are so many, healthy reasons for that, because this is a fermented dish. So yeah, I hope we're going to see this expand further.
I just think it's interesting that kimchi is a celebrated day, actually. Yeah.
Of course it is. And I mean, we are not really celebrating any foreign food the way we are celebrating kimchi in Korea. So seeing this abroad is amazing, I have to say.
Right, and out of all the food, kimchi is the first food to be celebrated as a national day from Korea. So I feel like it holds a lot of significance for the food itself, but also as a representation of Korean culture.
Definitely. So very meaningful coverage today, Songjin. We're looking forward to your next report.
Again, it was a pleasure to be with you guys.
And happy Kimchi Day.
Happy Kimchi Day, guys.
Kimchi Day.
Time for K-Inter News with Walter Lee. Walter, we're going to talk about more happy news, and this time it's really exciting news for people that are going to attend Coachella next year.
I wish I was one of these people that was going to visit Coachella, because on Wednesday, local time, Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival, better known as just Coachella. Everyone knows it as Coachella, the largest festival in the US.
Largest music festival.
Largest music festival in the US. Announced its lineup for the 2025 set, and Blackpink's Jennie and Lisa, as well as ENHYPEN, the boy band ENHYPEN, are named on the list. Now, Lisa is scheduled to perform on April 11th and the 18th, ENHYPEN on the 12th and 19th of April, and Jennie on the 13th and 20th of April as well. Now, if you remember, Blackpink first made history as the first K-pop girl group to perform at Coachella.
Of course, we mentioned that a number of times, right?
A number of times back in 2019, and they were the first K-pop group to headline the actual Coachella in 2023, so last year. Now, they're focusing on their solo careers. As we've seen over the last couple of weeks, they've all come out with solo singles. And Lisa and Jennie won't be joining together. They'll be doing it separately as solo acts. So for ENHYPEN, this will be their debut at the Coachella stage.
Nice. And Walter, the next piece of news, I'm really excited about this because we're going to talk about a release by G-Dragon.
Yes, we always like to talk about our good friend G-Dragon. So G-Dragon released a teaser of an image of a new song, which is called Home Sweet Home, on Thursday afternoon through his social media sites. Now, the image revealed the text 2024, 11/22, 2 p.m. KST on his social media sites, and the word release. Now, announcing the release of the song Friday 2 p.m., so that's just passed. Please don't go anywhere else. Please watch the show first, then you can go see it. He also released an updated video on his YouTube account as well on what he's been up to recently, and that's obviously with his new single, Power, as you just saw or you're watching right now on TV, and appearing on popular TV variety show You Quiz on the Block, and also catching up with the other Big Bang members such as Taeyang and Daesung. Now, previously, G-Dragon made a sensational comeback after 88 months. Now, I find this really interesting because it's 4 years, 7 months, 88 months. This is when he was born, in the year 88, when we were born as well.
And his birthday is also August 18th.
Right? So 8 is a very significant number. I wonder if I just stumbled upon something interesting for him. Maybe he purposely did that. Who knows? Maybe he waited 88 months. But anyway, with his song Power, it was generated plenty of buzz. It's doing so well among the domestic music platforms as well as the international platforms such as iTunes. And for anyone who's wanting to see G-Dragon live, then they can watch the 2024 Mama Awards, which is scheduled in Los Angeles this Saturday at 12 p.m. local time.
Oh, it's not 8 p.m.
No, it's not 8 p.m. It's 12 p.m. He wishes he could be 8 p.m.
But he likes to embed the number 88 definitely. So it actually might be true that he was waiting 88 months and not 87 or 89.
I'm onto him. I think I know what he's doing.
Well, Walter, last but certainly not least, some news for Disney lovers out there, including myself.
Yes. So on Thursday evening, in a very rare event, I thought it was very interesting. Korean superstars such as Kim Hye-soo, Park Eun-bin, Kim Soo-hyun, just to name a few. There were so many Korean superstars joined the one and only Mickey Mouse on stage at the Marina Bay Sands in Singapore to promote the Disney Presents A Night of Stars fan event and introduced 9 Korean original series for Disney Plus to set to debut next year at the Disney Content Showcase APAC 2024. Now, the 2-day event, which began on the 20th, showcasing Disney's high expectations for Korean content. Now, of the series scheduled for the release of next year, 9 are Korean productions. Now, in fact, more than half of the Asia-Pacific region's original series planned for Disney Plus next year are Korean, which is great for Korean films and Korean dramas. Now, the 9 Korean series are, get this, Trigger, Hyper Knife, Knockout, The Murky Stream, The Manipulated, 9 Puzzles, Low Life, Tempest, and also Made in Korea. So look out for those titles. Disney's top executives have acknowledged the strength of Korean dramas, with one even describing them as guiding light due to their remarkable success. Now, according to Carol Choi, head of the original content strategy for Disney's APAC region, she said that the launch of over 130 APAC region titles has received positive feedback, and notably, 9 out of the top 15 titles launched by Disney last year were Korean productions.
Exciting news. Thank you very much, Walter, for those diverse K-Enter news.
Yes, and we'll see you soon.
And now for other diverse culture news here in Korea, we turn to our AI anchor, Ari.
Welcome to the Culture Wave AI News. I am Ari, here to guide you through the latest news and events in Korea's cultural scene. Here's our first story of the day. COEX Food Week, Korea's largest food expo, is being held in Seoul under the theme Inspire Food Life. Now in its 19th year, the event highlights the latest trends in both the global and local food industries, with over 900 companies representing 15 countries participating. Concurrently, the Bakery Fair and World Food Tech Expo are being held, showcasing the latest food trends in a snapshot. This year's events focus on shaping the future of food culture, with a strong emphasis on sustainability and technological innovation. An impressive 60,000 people registered for the trial run of the DDP Rooftop Tour, a unique program allowing participants to walk atop the roof of Seoul's iconic Dongdaemun Design Plaza. 100 people were selected and enjoyed panoramic city views, with 97% expressing high satisfaction with the inaugural experience. Launched to celebrate DDP's 10th anniversary, the program conducted 22 trial sessions over the past month. Seoul plans to refine the program further before its official launch next year. The Incheon Port Authority says its fly and cruise program will be significantly expanded next year. The program allows travelers arriving at Incheon International Airport to tour the capital area before embarking on a cruise from Incheon Port. Over 63,000 passengers are expected to depart from Incheon Port through the program next year, which is 3 times more than this year, and the largest figure to date. And that's all from me. Have a lovely weekend.
시골에서 담궈온 깊은 손맛 우리 할머니 손길에 내공의 맛 겉절인 상큼해서 신김치는 아싸랬어 라면을 끓일 때는 역시 너야 찌개 팔팔 끓일 때도 역시 너야 너 없이 난 못 살겠어 너 없이 난 허전했어 너무너무 김치가 좋아 아싸아싸 김치가 좋아 김치 짜자 많이 많이 짜자 그래도 난 김치가 좋아 새콤달콤 김치가 좋아 김치 짜자 많이 많이 짜자 물 좀 줘
In late October last year, in time for Halloween, a 5-part horror series created by Korean Australians in Australia was aired on national television. A year later, that's this year, the series has been turned into a webtoon here in Korea. Today, we meet the director of Night Bloomers, Andrew Lee, or Lee Bo-young is his Korean name, to delve into his production. Let's connect live with him. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, Andrew.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for joining us. So, Andrew, Night Bloomers, which in Korean is 밤에 피는 자들, is the first drama created by and featuring Korean Australians in Australia, and it is a meaningful, significant achievement. Now, a year has passed since its release, but can you recall your feelings when the series aired?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, and thank you. So yeah, Night Bloomers was Australia's first Korean Australian series, and the first one that I created. When it was released last year, it premiered at South by Southwest Film Festival and was awarded an Australian Writers Guild Award. So it was well received, and I felt very relieved and thrilled at the same time. Yeah.
So, yes, the series is divided into 5 episodes, including Friend or Foe and Passing On. Tell us a little bit about the series and also why you chose to delve into the Korean diaspora through the genre of horror.
Yeah, no, thank you. Great question. So firstly, yeah, Night Bloomers is a horror anthology series exploring intergenerational stories from unspoken migration experiences from the Korean diaspora. It adopts modern twists on Korean folklore stories mixed with, I guess, supernatural beliefs and story traditions from Korean shamanism. And, every episode, each hero faces mortality in a very unique way, coupled with a deep yearning that manifests malevolent forces that the ensemble of characters must overcome collectively. In terms of the horror genre and why I chose that genre was I didn't want to tell a typical Korean migrant story because I wanted to subvert the idea of what migrant narratives can be and look like for diasporic communities. For example, my family's journey to Australia wasn't always positive, and I wanted to highlight that very honestly by using a goblin and other nightly creatures. I could tackle very serious themes in a way that wasn't too confronting for people. And yeah, and to use vampires as subtext for ways to talk about issues within Australia through a Korean Australian perspective.
Very interesting. I mean, I was especially fond of the goblin or dokkaebi in Korean in the series. But Andrew, all of the cast members and most of the staff for the series were of Korean descent. So tell us more about the intentions behind that choice.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, the entire cast were Korean and the crew were a mixture of Korean and Australians. It was just important to cast for authenticity reasons and also to have Korean writers telling their stories from their perspectives. Yeah, because Australia, we haven't had that opportunity before. So yeah, it was just paramount to make sure that it was authentic, essentially.
I see. And no wonder that we were seeing quite a number of Korean themed elements that were spotted in the series. For instance, Korean grocery stores and also Korea's hanbok or traditional attire, as well as 제사, an ancestral ritual. So can you give us a little bit more on these features and the reason for using those?
Sure. Yeah. So conceptually, the entire series is like one big salpuri dance where the a woman dances in her white hanbok and uses her white scarf to cleanse the I guess the unresolved issues between the living and the dead, which is based on the shamanistic death ritual dance from Cholla, which is where my family comes from. And so, as all the characters are facing death in some sort of way, culturally, there were a lot of things we could draw upon. So, from the Cheza, as you mentioned before, to, paramedics trying to save someone dying, to our Korean food. There were several Korean cultural markers, basically because just where my family's from, which is Cholla, which has a lot of, I guess, shamanistic practices and folklore culture down there.
That's really interesting because that's where I was born as well, Cheongnam-do, and I'm a very, very proud Korean Australian. I'm sure you're a very, very proud Korean Australian. How much and in what way do you think it does you being an Australian Korean or Korean Australian descent influence your work?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question because I think firstly, I think our work ethic as Koreans and the Australian laid backness can clash at times for me. But I think I think I'm very Korean in the sense that working extremely hard is paramount, not just for myself, but also for my family's prosperity. Creatively speaking, my mother and father's influence has definitely shaped my work, both in a positive and a negative way. But all worked out through therapy, and I'm a writer at the end of the day. And for example, my father was a Taekwondo master. And he, instilled a lot of what he learned as an ex-military Korean man. And, he used to make me spar with him when I was just like 6 years old, and he would make me basically attack him. But, I was really short, and he would just kick me, and I would go flying across the room. And this would go on all night, and I'd be crying to the point of, always getting back up. But, his way of teaching me this, I think of that when I think about it was him trying to make sure that no matter what happens, I have resilience, that I always get back up, and that I keep trying. And so I don't think that's an Australian thing. I think that was basically from his upbringing. And so, yeah, my parents definitely have instilled a lot of Korean values and elements in my work. And with my mother, she was a singer and a writer that could never really have a career that she wanted. So she made sure that I had all the opportunities so that I could live my life truly and, stand up for things that I believe in. Yeah.
We can definitely see how your family influenced you and your work as well, Andrew. Now, it's becoming more common, however, that we also discover Australian productions that feature Korean Australian content, even Korean lines. Would you say that is due to the recent, even bigger impact of the Korean wave?
Yeah, so I think, yeah, like in Australia, the Korean wave is 100% here, and you can feel it. You can feel the influence everywhere in the food and culture and on television and films. And I think it's a really great thing. I think it can be intense sometimes too, for me. But as an artist and I think it's a great positive thing. It really does help Korean artists and authors and musicians prosper and have their voices heard and have a career, have a creative career. So it's definitely been a positive aspect for us down in Australia as well.
Let's now go back to Night Bloomers, but not the TV series. It has also been released here in Korea as a webtoon. Tell us more.
Sure, yes. So it's an extension of the Night Bloomers anthology stories. And, I had the opportunity to write more stories from the Korean Australian perspective and collaborate with native Korean webtoon artists. And it was just a real privilege because it was a true collaboration between both Korea and Australia. And yeah, the episodes are being released weekly on the Post type platform. Yeah.
Sounds so good. And Korea is a webtoon powerhouse. Do you think there's a chance for Night Bloomers to be re-exported to Australia in the form of a webtoon?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently we are focusing on the Korean market as we are releasing the episodes weekly, and we will translate them back into English. And as this is the first of its kind, we are expanding it slowly and kind of learning from Korea as we go. So definitely.
Looking forward to that to happen. Now, Andrew, one final question to you. Have you got any plans for further productions embedded with Korean culture?
Yeah, definitely. As mentioned before, my father was a Taekwondo master, and because I was training since I was 4 years old, I had this quite unique upbringing, and because of that, I want to develop a project within this world. I'm also currently adapting a Korean film into English language for work and directing a play which was written by a Korean adoptee Australian. And so even though I have projects that revolve around Korean culture, I definitely still have projects that are Australian, but through, I guess, a Korean sensibility and aesthetics, for sure.
Can't wait for all of those productions. So thank you very much, Andrew, for taking the time today. And we definitely look forward to many more interesting productions from you.
Thank you, Andrew. If you need a Korean Australian, here I am.
Great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, and that brings us to the end of Friday's edition of the Culture Wave. Thank you, Walter, maybe future actor, and we'll see you again next week.
See you soon.
Thank you for spending the past half an hour and week with us on the Culture Week, Culture Wave, of course. I wish you a great weekend, maybe with a K-drama series, webtoon, and some kimchi, and hope you join us again next week. Thanks for watching.